This segment of the Alice Stewart Show is brought to you by Aero Plumbing. For all your household or business plumbing needs, call Aero Plumbing at 1-866-PLUMBER or schedule an appointment online at aeroplumbing.net.
And we're back on the Alice Stewart Show, 7:34, coming up on 25 minutes before 8 o'clock. In the spin room this morning, we're joined with Mariah Hatta, the former executive director of the Democratic Party of Arkansas, and Hogan Gidley, former executive director of South Carolina GOP and Arkansas native and senior political advisor at BrabenderCox. Hogan and Mariah, great to have you here.
Good morning.
All right,
Good morning.
I haven't had the chance to have you on and talk to you about some of the races here in the midterm, and we'll look at here in Arkansas, the big Senate race between Senator Mark Pryor and Congressman Tom Cotton. Of course, Cotton winning by about 17 points on Election Day. I want to get your thoughts just on the margin of victory in that race. Mariah?
Well, we saw that margin kind of across the board for the few, the top races or the few social statewide races. So, I mean, it just goes in with there was a resounding message from the voters in Arkansas and in other parts of the country that they wanted change and they wanted the Republican message to represent them.
Hogan?
Yeah, I think there were, for a while, I think some national Republicans were a little concerned because they kept feeling like Tom Cotton was supposed to pull away there, and it was close for the longest of times, but then toward the end of the race, obviously Cotton pulled ahead. Mark Pryor, obviously an established powerhouse political name in the state of Arkansas, and what's interesting is, I think he was unopposed, but of course he got 75% of the vote in the last election, and then he turns around and loses by the large margin that he did. It really is an indictment of the president and his policies, not necessarily any of the pledges and promises that Tom Cotton was offering, but the fact that Mark Pryor was so in lockstep with the president, as were many national Democrats in their respective states, shows that the referendum on the president proved fatal to so many Senate Democrats.
And that was a topic on Sunday shows yesterday. The president himself was on CBS Face the Nation. He was asked about the midterms, and it's the first time during this past week he took some responsibility for the losses at the hands of Democrats in the midterm elections. And he did acknowledge that his party took quite a drumming because people still, in his mind, they're looking for higher wages and other issues. But he says a lot of it has to do with sheer Washington gridlock. Here's the president.
Their wages haven't gone up. Their incomes haven't gone up. Still hard to save for retirement. Still hard to send a kid to college. And then they see Washington gridlocked, and they're frustrated. And they know one person in Washington, and that's the President of the United States. So I've got to make this city work better.
Hogan?
That's just hilarious to me. I loved it because when I was in D.C. this past week, Democrats kept saying, "Why didn't they trot the president out in states? Why didn't they let him go out and make the case? The economy is getting better. The economy is getting better. The economy is getting better at Wall Street, not Main Street," which is basically what he just acknowledged here. The entire talking point that hammered Mitt Romney in 12 was that he was just a Wall Street guy, didn't know about Main Street, and the economy wasn't getting down to the people. And the economy isn't getting better down to the people. It's still bad amongst the people. The president acknowledges this here. So these Democrat strategists and consultants didn't all of a sudden get stupid. They've been killing us for the last 3 cycles. The problem was the message was a failure. They tested it and they knew it, and so was the president. Let me give you a couple of quick stats, and I'll let Mariah fight me on this one. But the people who largely put the president in office were women, African Americans, Hispanics, young voters. Largely, he's in the White House because of those people. But under this president, unmarried women, their income's down 7%. Those under 25 down 9.6%. Hispanics 4.5%. African Americans down 10.9%. So all the people who put him in office are suffering disproportionately under this president economically.
Mariah?
I'm not sure I'm going to fight you on that one. But, I mean, obviously, people are not relating to what the president and to what national Democrats have been saying. And your quote about Wall Street versus Main Street is just perfect. People are still feeling that they are not doing better, or not doing well, or are barely surviving when it comes down to their pocketbooks. And we, as a party, the Democratic Party, the broad Democratic Party, not, a building on a certain street, or not, a building in Washington or even 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, have to figure out a way to better share that message. And the president didn't really do us any favors. And I had a number of people talk to me about, well, he didn't really do anything wrong. I'm like, I agree with you on some points, and I see, obviously I don't agree with Hogan on every point he just pointed out, but the bottom line is he didn't help Democrats across the country just in this race. I'm not talking about the policies and whatnot, but this campaign season, if Democrats are saying something otherwise, then it's still Tuesday night at 2 a.m. or Wednesday morning at 2 a.m. They're not thinking quite clearly. But these things change. It's a pendulum, and it went way right. I don't think that it'll ever go way left, but it will swing back in some ways.
And Alice, I do want to say, because Mariah said my answer, part of my answer at least was perfect, so I'm going to give the Democrats some credit here.
You can
so now we're all just having a love fest. In 2008, I was the comms director for Elizabeth Dole's Senate re-elect, who lost to Kay Hagan, and obviously Hagan just lost. George W. Bush was so toxic in his second term, we refused to do an event with him in North Carolina, and we would only do one with Dick Cheney, okay?
Right.
So that tells you this isn't something that's new, right?
Right.
Second-term presidents are often unpopular, and what this was is less a wholesale, warning Republicans, less a wholesale buy-in to our message writ large or what we were pushing for. It's more repudiation of the president and where we are nationally, internationally. That's what this is more about to me. And the golden opportunity Republicans have been given here can be squandered in a heartbeat if we step over there in January, February, whenever we come back into session in the new Congress and don't do anything. People want a Congress to function and to govern. And if they don't govern and get things done, we'll be having a much different conversation in 2 years, and Mariah will probably do a little gloating on that end of the line.
Well, and that's the thing. That's one of the points that Governor Mike Rounds from South Dakota, who is now a senator-elect, who is will be a fine senator, he made that very point, Hogan, talking about, okay, Republicans, we won, but he says it's an opportunity for the Republican Party to show that they can make government work. Here is Governor Mike Rounds on Meet the Press yesterday.
I think the Republican majority now has an opportunity to show that we can actually govern, we can put together an agenda, and we can execute on it. That means getting results.
Mariah, do you see them being able to do that?
Yes. I mean, it is very tough, and as Hogan said, we saw this in 2008, and the Democrats saw this in 2000, and I don't think, Tuesday, personally, for me, was not a great day, and Wednesday was a little painful, but it's reminiscent of the longer version we had in 2000 when Gore lost and then in the midterms. It is, and also I don't want anyone to gloat, and I don't want to be too depressed, and I don't want to gloat in sort of like a reflex, but like, hey, now you guys got to govern. But it's free. It's not easy. It's totally different to win elections versus governing in a way that's effective and in a way that the other party doesn't just rip you apart.
Right. And Hogan,
I don't envy those now who are the responsibilities on their shoulders.
Hogan.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because the president has basically he hasn't had to use his veto pen at all because he had one sitting in the Senate.
Yeah,
and
his name is Harry Reid.
His name was Harry Reid. That's right. Now it's going to be interesting to see the politics at play here, is how the Republicans play their hand, because when they do pass bills, what is the president going to do? Is he going to veto those things? And this is where the political jockeying comes into play. But I do think Mariah's right in the sense that everybody needs to take a breath here. It's never as bad as it seems. It's never as good as it seems. And as soon as you're on top, you can be on the bottom. So, you know, I do think Rounds is right in the sense that, you know, we have been touting even when Barack Obama won re-election, what did the people say, right? We trust Mitt Romney on the economy more, but we're going to vote for Barack Obama. Well, Republicans stereotypically, quote unquote, a lot of folks feel like we do better with the economy. Now we've got the chance to prove it. If we don't prove it, if we don't pass significant things that make people's lives feel better, then it's going to be tough for us in a couple of years. But if we do, 2016 is going to set up really nice to take back the White House as well. Yeah,
no doubt on that. It's we ran for the job on certain things, and it's time for Republicans to execute. We'll take a break, and we're going to come back after the break and talk about one of the big issues that will be addressed this term in Congress, without a doubt, is immigration. So we'll be joined with Hogan Gidley and Mariah Hatta in the spin room after this. This segment of the program brought to you by Aero Plumbing. For all of your household or business plumbing needs, give them a call, 501-588-3200, or you can go online at aeroplumbing.net.